Sarah Hoffs with Rhinebeck School of Music, and in this video we're going to learn how to play over dominant 7 chords using a dominant 7 arpeggio and the minor pentatonic scale. So a lot of people, when they play the blues, they know that minor pentatonic scale backwards and forwards, right? So if they're playing an A blues, that's their go-to when they do a solo. So they dig right into that minor pentatonic scale. And a lot of people don't even know that there is a major pentatonic scale to play over major blues, dominant 7 chords. So that's one way that you can approach it. But a simpler way is just to learn that dominant 7 arpeggio and where that lies in different positions. So if I'm playing over an A7 chord, the notes in that A7 chord are A, C sharp, E, and G. And I can keep going in the next octave: A, C sharp, E, G, A, C sharp. So in this position on the neck, where everybody's really familiar with that minor pentatonic scale, is where you can play this particular dominant 7 arpeggio. So really an arpeggio is just outlining the chord tones, the notes within the dominant 7 chord here, right? So A, C sharp, E, G, A, C sharp, E, G. So you just want to practice that and get that under your fingertips, right? So when you're playing an A7 chord, right, that minor pentatonic scale, it works. Right? But listen to the sound of the major, that major sound when you get that dominant 7 arpeggio. Has more of that kind of happier major sound in there. But a cool thing to do is to mix the two sounds together, and that's where a lot of more advanced players and jazz players or people who approach the blues in a jazzier way kind of get that sound from. So I'm going to do that. So here's my A7. So if I go up, my dominant 7 arpeggio. Now listen, I'm going to come back down the minor pentatonic scale. So that sound of the minor third and the major third seems to work in the blues context over that dominant 7 chord. Because a lot of times in theory, right, you wouldn't play a minor third over a major chord. It's But in the blues, that's kind of the sound of the blues, is mixing that minor third and that major third to get these more sophisticated lines, right? So I'm just going to go over, what you can do is you can put on like an A blues, major blues backing track, and you can practice your dominant 7 arpeggio and your minor pentatonic scale. And try to mix those two sounds together. But I'm going to give you a bunch of little riffs that you can practice to kind of get this under your belt. So here's the first one. And you can slide into that 5 to the 6. So all that is right there, if you notice, that's just an A major triad. Right? I'm playing C sharp, E, A, just from that A major chord. And then I'm coming off of that pentatonic scale. So I went up major, got that minor 7th in there. So here's one skipping the B string altogether. And that gets into those 6ths that I talked about in an earlier lesson, right? So it's almost the same line. I'm just skipping the B string. So you can vary these however you want. You can do whatever rhythm you want, you know. And here's one that comes off of that traditional cliche blues rock line in the minor pentatonic. And then I'm going to put that major third going back. So most of that is minor pentatonic. But here, I put the major third and resolve it to the A. And playing around with that minor third to the major third is really fun. So you can do... Here's the one that's a little more sophisticated. It starts off with that minor pentatonic, go to the major, and now I'm going here. So here, major, that dominant 7, arpeggio, resolve to the minor third, to the root. So you got complicated run. Now here's one with some double stops, right? That's minor pentatonic. But then I'm taking the third, the major third, and the minor 7th, moving it back. Here's one, kind of like a Chuck Berry double stop, right? That's more minor pentatonic. You can put the major third in there. So you can combine these however you want. You can think about that little major triad that's in there too, right? Go up the major, come down the minor. These notes in your arpeggio are also within your minor pentatonic scale, except for that C sharp, right? The A is in your minor pentatonic scale. The E is within your minor pentatonic. The G and the A, right? So they're all in there except for that major third, that C sharp, right? And in this pattern here of the minor pentatonic, your C sharp is here, it's here, and it's here. Or you could play that also here. Right? So anytime like you're finding that minor to the major shift, and it's really fun to kind of mix that sound around. And all I'm doing is I'm taking one note out of the pentatonic scale, if you want to think of it that way. If you play your pentatonic scale and add that C sharp into it, then you're mixing those two sounds together, and then you get more sophisticated blues lines and things to do of your dominant 7 chord. Alright, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. If you haven't already, visit www.rhinebeckschoolofmusic.com and subscribe. Become a patron, www.patreon.com/Rhinebeck School of Music. I'll see you at the next one.